Meet me in the foyer.
Welcome, one and all, and thank you for choosing to meet me in the foyer. We've composed a new show for you and scored it with great reviews, news, and chat, underscored with great music from the worlds of classical opera and rock, with reunions and finales being the theme this week as we sally forth to Meet Me in the Foyer, episode 14. And as always, there in the foyer, right waiting for us, is Linda. How are you doing, Linda?
I'm fine. How are you? Yeah, really good week. Exciting times ahead. But yeah,
Hmm.
I'm doing really well. How are you doing?
Not too bad, yes. Pretty exhausted. Fitted in a couple of swims this week, so I've added that to my cycling, and yes, generally a bit knackered, but otherwise pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, lots of exciting film news this week, as you say, and festivals on the horizon. So all pretty exciting in the world of cinema. And speaking of cinema, what is it you'll be treating us to this week?
Well, it's a week of sequels, I'm afraid. So we have a sequel, or the we told the finale of the Downton Abbey saga, a very popular TV series that was later turned into a just longer episodes in a gaze of a feature film, which is bizarre in my opinion. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to say anything against it in my review. You have to wait to see. And my second sequel is the uh, long awaited, or is it second sequel to this We Are Spinal Tap, which is Spinal Tap II. That is also coming out this week at the end of the week. So let's see what I thought of that. I
Very.
also would like to give a small mention to a really small movie being released by the BFI this week called Islands. I will only have like literally just a few words on that afterwards, and we can talk about that. Starring Sam Riley. He's a
Fantastic.
fantastic actor.
Yes, that name does ring a bell. Yes, but I can't bring it to mind, so I look forward to learning more about that later on in the show. So, and of course, on top of that, we bring you the box office top 10 and some great news, quite a lot of news actually this week. Lots of new trailers dropping, which is exciting, and one that I should have brought you last week, but I forgot, so I'm squeezing it in this week as well. So, and of course, I'll be bringing you my classic movie review. Um, can it live up to its early potential, or will it all end in tragedy? Well, we'll find out later on in the show.
Meet me in the foyer.
It's time to press Linda into service, so I will ring the bell and order myself a review of the third and final film in the historical drama franchise from writer Julian Fellowes and director Simon Curtis as we return to Downton Abbey for the grand finale.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to 1930.
My God, what a melody.
He will be a sensation.
Are you a fan of Downton Abbey, Jawa?
I'm going to sit on the fence and say, absolutely not. I can't bear it.
Same. Actually, I enjoyed the first few episodes. What's that? A good 15 years ago now.
Mm.
I can't believe it's been that long. It's so weird. To me, like before I looked at when it started, I genuinely thought it was like more like 8 years ago. So it's quite a long time ago. They've been with us, these guys. Um, it's I can't say that it's brought anything. I mean, like if you used to like to watch things like Upstairs, Downstairs, you can tell you like that kind of dynamic between servants and rich people. Um, I, on the other hand, think it's all a load of bullshit. Although this is the series and the original series and the three films that have been produced after the end of the series, all written by Julian Fellows, who also wrote Gosford Park. Gosford Park, a film that we both love. I absolutely love Gosford. I think it's just so beautifully done. Excellent writing, very witty. Like a brilliant critique of the upper classes, as well as a really good sort of almost like historical drama. What I find about with Downton is that it has that kind of at the heart of it is this kind of like servile attitude to the aristocracy, which I absolutely despise. I don't understand why these films continue to be popular. Don't understand why people are even sort of interested in any of these characters. I just find them all extremely boring. There are no stories. It's just one big sort of set piece after one big set piece. It's like it's bizarrely, it's like it's just like one long episode of Downton Abbey, in my opinion, and nothing gets it. Like, there is very little about it that has any kind of that changes lives in any way. And this particular one is supposedly the last one. I mean, the second one featured I think one of my favorite characters in Downton Abbey was the Maggie Smith character, the Dowager, and she made the whole thing a little bit more sort of fun to watch. And obviously, we lost Dame Maggie Smith earlier this year, or was it last year? I can't remember. And she also died in the series, sorry, in the movie, in the last movie. And I feel like we really miss her in this one. There isn't enough of that kind of like, like that kind of like look at, the we feel like she's on our side sometimes, because she finds the whole thing absolutely ludicrous. And this, I think the most ludicrous of the narratives, of the storylines, is in this one. There is something has happened within the family. Lady Mary, played by Michelle Dockery. Michelle Dockery is actually a really good actress who now does stuff, is in Hollywood and has done some great stuff in Hollywood. What's happened to Lady Mary is that she's got divorced, and it's like a big scandal in society. So we meet them all when during the summer, where the whole family, the Granthams, are in London, and they've got a house in London, and they are being invited to all sorts of things. And so we are now in the 1930s, obviously, and it's there's a buzz about the modernity has basically arrived in their lives, and they have to try and deal with it somehow, some way or another. The fact that their daughter just has been divorced by her husband, she's become a pariah. Families, the upper classes are avoiding them. They're invited to this dance, and then halfway through the dance, and Mary is there, and her parents are there, played by Hugh Bonneville and Elizabeth McGovern. They're all there having a nice, lovely time, and then the evening the papers come out, and there's a scandal because they found out that she's a divorced woman, so she gets thrown out of the party, and it's all a big scandal, and she's all over the newspapers, and then things happen. Meanwhile, Paul Giamatti plays Harold Levinson, who's the brother of Lady Grantham, Cora Grantham, as I said, played by Elizabeth McGovern. And he arrives from America wanting to have a chat with his sister about their money troubles. All in all, I mean, the story, there is genuinely, the plot is like paper thin. There is nothing there. It's all about filming them, setting up tables, going to the races, inviting people around and parading in this like absolutely huge house. And it's you get like scenes downstairs and scenes upstairs, and this is, and there's a real cad involved in this as well. Mary's reputation is dirt, basically. It's the thing about Downton Abbey, it's never really been about anything but those big set pieces, those big sort of almost like historical. It's kind of like, it's almost like you're in a tableau. It's like a series of tableaus. We've gone from doing this, and now we're doing this, and now we're doing this, and now we're preparing for the big meal, and there is a new. So basically, two members of the service are leaving because they're too old now, and they've been replaced by two other members, the younger members, and the younger members are feeling a bit out of place because they want to get on with doing their jobs. Well, I mean, there is a little bit of kind of like it does its best to propose a more say equal standing between the bosses and the servants, but at the same time, it is a film that wants to hold on to that kind of like aristocratic way of life. And for me, I find it all very ludicrous. I find it so stupid and so ridiculous that we are still in this time and age. I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. Even the character who we'd seen in other movies or other series, being the sort of the socialist, bringing that kind of socialist solution, the proletariat. Even he has become a business owner, and he's sold his business for a lot of money, and it's become. I just think this is all very empty, and it's very sort of. I mean, it's so silly. It's so silly, and it's not silly in a way where it knows it's being silly. It's just so ridiculous, and so like there is nothing about it that challenges you in any way, shape, or form. This might as well just be on TV. Might as well just be cut up in 3 different episodes and served up on ITV. There's nothing cinematic about it. The acting is paper thin, as I say. The storyline is paper thin. I'm actually kind of like even embarrassed to even review this because it's not a movie, in my opinion. But other than that, like I like Hugh Bonneville. I think he's brilliant, and I like him even more now, having watched what he said on the red carpet to the BBC reporter when he was asked questions. I don't know if you've caught this during the week, but during the premiere for the Downton Abbey movie, he got asked a question about being part of this, and then he started his answer by condemning what's happening in Gaza right when they were live on the BBC, and I think that's really courageous for someone to do that, because it's not, and I don't think he would have done it if this hadn't been the last movie, because if you do something like that, you're not invited again to do to be part of it, because generally, like the production companies, distributors don't want that kind of political stuff associated with their productions. But it did them no harm. He was on the front page of every newspaper, and he's been heralded as being courageous and very sort of honest. So yeah, I mean, it's not my thing really. It's the equivalent of eating popcorn. Do you know what I mean? It's not filling. I feel like my cinematic soul was not fed in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, I was right with you till you criticised popcorn. I won't have it. But no,
it's not nutritious, is it? Popcorn, is it nutritious? It's just like
no, but it's delicious. You're so right, though. Yes, one of your early points that if you liked Upstairs Downstairs, then you like Downton is spot on, because my parents loved Downton and they loved Upstairs Downstairs. And I'm right with you. I've always had a problem with dramas about social etiquette, that being this whole sort of premise and the whole dramatic construct, and that's Downton is really that, but that's not even that strong in it. It's all very weak. It is just a sort of Sunday tea time drama, isn't it?
It's also all about sort of trying to keep the status quo. It's also about the servants always wanting to be where they are, and their bosses being kept where they are. It doesn't challenge the class system in any way, shape, or form, and I think that's what pisses me off about it, and that's why Julian Fellows. It's about time he did something else. He's been like dining on the same kind of idea for so many years now. What's different between this and the stuff that he did with Gosford Park is that he didn't. With Gosford Park, it wasn't just about the upstairs downstairs dynamic. It was more about this. There was a storyline, and I feel like he has forgotten how to write plots. He's forgotten how to write real plots. This is you might as well, I don't know, like it's the equivalent of just getting in a bath and just like closing your eyes and like feeling sort of warm. I didn't feel warm because of possibly my own proletarian outlook and my own sort of outlook on class, but at the same time I can't see why anyone would want to watch this unless they're just watching it for the clothes and for the sort of the how the house looks, and I just find it really boring.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's just as you say, it just harkens back. It's for people who just want to think about a time when Britain was great, and people were kept in their place, and we could all aspire. They were looking upon the upper class with pride, even though the upper class were looking down on them with disgust. It's a very strange nostalgia for a time that wouldn't have been particularly fun to live in.
It also wants you to think that they are moving with the times and everything. Their attitude hasn't changed. The only reason they want to move with the times is because they're worried about losing their status. There is like this fear of keeping the status, keeping the name, keeping the sort of the stately home and their house in London, and the standing within society. And I just find that whole concept absolutely ridiculous, personally. In a year 2025, aren't there more interesting subjects that we should be broaching if we're going to spend a shitloads of money on making movies? Find it ridiculous.
I mean, I have to admit I'm guilty of it too, because I'm deeply addicted to Agatha Christie, and that in itself harkens back to that period, and all of her stories are really set in that strata of society, which must in reality have been no more than sort of 30% of the population, who could afford to live that way with servants and big houses. But of course, with a Christie, as you got with Gosford Park, you've got a murder mystery along with it. And I also think with Gosford Park, because Fellows, although he is the writer, he began as a consultant. That's all he was. I think he began on Titanic. That was the first thing he ever did, because he somehow convinced everyone he was an expert. And but of course, with Gosford Park, you had an American director. You had Altman probably chopping out a lot of his nonsense and putting in more less reverence, as you what was the word you used? The civility, taking away that and adding in the class distinctions and that plot, the subplot with the son seeking his mum and all that sort of stuff, which Gosford has never had. It's just, as I say, it's just a nice Sunday afternoon tea reminiscence for people. Yeah.
Also, with Christie, you get an adaptation of a novel written during that time, and you've got to take it as a story written, like you are watching something that's been adapted from something written around that time. It's not a historical drama. Do you know what I mean? It's not a historical drama. This is a completely made up sort of story about these opulent people, and we're meant to feel really sorry for them because they lost a few £1,000 instead of, like they only made $1 million this year instead of making 2 million, or like, it's like, it just feels like what you call being skint isn't what I call being skint, kind of thing. They're all sort of having to tighten up the belt and this and the other because they somehow have to sell something because they haven't got as much money as they used to. They still live in a massive house. They still go to parties every night. They still invite people around and have these like absolutely sort of disgustingly opulent dinners. And I'm meant to feel sorry for you. No, thank you. No. There's a genocide going on. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's appalling, Linda, that you don't pity them for only having one pastry chef. But how are they supposed to survive?
Yeah, I mean, there are some like moments that are so absolutely hilarious. It's like, oh, we might this footman is leaving. We might not be able to hire another one because we're trying to tighten the belt. Oh, really? Like, am I supposed to feel sorry for you somehow because you're losing one footman when you've got like another 12 and waiting. So it's all very silly stuff, but yeah.
Well, fantastic. No, I think we're on the same page on that one, but I'm sure it'll do very well regardless. I know, as I say, I know 2 people who'll be going to see that when it comes to the cinema, as I'm sure many others will be. But hopefully that's the final installment. Although I did think this afternoon that perhaps it won't be the final installment and we'll get a prequel or something like that instead now. But who knows? Lovely. Thank you very much, Linda.
Meet me in the foyer.
So why don't we move on now to the box office top 10 and the top 10 films in the UK as we record, starting as we always do with number 10, and it's Honey Don't, the new Ethan Coen film and part 2 of he and his wife's lesbian trilogy B movies after Drive Away Dolls, which came out was it the year before last, I think it was, which despite scathing reviews, I quite enjoyed parts of it. It started badly, but it got better. And the trailers for this at least look intriguing, and the cast looks great. So who knows?
It's not very good. It's not very good. So sorry. And I mean, now we know who the real brain behind the Coen brothers is. It is definitely.
Or maybe Joel will make bad films as well, and it's only when they combine. It's the magic of the brothers combined. But who knows?
Yeah, no, it's not good.
Has Joel made any films?
Macbeth.
That was Joel, was it? Okay.
That
was pretty good.
Pretty sure. Hang on. Do not quote. Pretty sure it was Joel. Tragedy of Macbeth. Joel right. Coen. No, yeah. That is a really good movie. That's a really fun movie. It's a little bit dry because it's very, very close to the the source material, but at the same time, I think it's beautifully done, and it's like the performances are great. But yeah,
fantastic. Well, and it seems that he's got a new film on the boards, but no release date for that yet. So hopefully that'll be just as good. At 9, Inter Alia, which is National Theatre Live. So we move on to number 8, which is The Marvels, Fantastic Four, still in the top 10. At 7, Loka, Chapter 1, Chandra, the Indian Malayalam language superhero movie that was 10, I believe, last week. Still at 6, Caught Stealing, Darren Aronofsky's new film. At 5, we're shocked by this every single week. The Bad Guys 2, 7 weeks in the chart, nearly £13 million.
Not a single animation out in the last few weeks. Not a single animation.
No.
That's why it's doing well. I mean, not because it's any good.
At 4, Freakier Friday, 5th week on the chart, and of course reviewed by Linda in a previous show. At 3, Zach Cregger's Weapons, 11 million in the takings now. At 2, last week's number 1, The Roses, which was reviewed by Linda last week. And top of the charts, The Conjuring Last Rites, which was made 6.7 million in its first week on release.
Like I said, I said it in my written review. One thing about the Conjuring movies is that they bring out the worst in people. They bring out the worst in the way people approach them. You know, like the way people behave in the cinema. You know, right. There's shouting and screaming and throwing popcorn at the screen, and there's like talking and using your phone, and they are movies that people go to see, and there's even people who don't go to cinema that often, or people who go to cinema only like once every 6 months, and that from the beginning they've always been like that, these movies. So yeah,
I'll stay away from that one for another reason then. So that's the top 10 for this week.
Meet me in the foyer.
Right, time to turn your speakers and devices up to 11 for the unexpected mockumentary following the reunion of one of the world's loudest and most punctual bands. Yes, Martin de Bergi, or his alter ego Rob Reiner, brings us his new film Spinal Tap II, The End Continues, for which I couldn't be none more anxious. So, Linda, was this one written by the bass player? Does it do the dying bird? Is it a shit sandwich? Are we treading water in a sea of retarded sexuality and bad poetry? Is it a pretentious, ponderous collection of religious rock psalms prompting the question, what day did the Lord create Spinal Tap, and couldn't he have rested on that day too? Or will the legend be forever carved into the living rock of Stonehenge?
Hi, I'm Marty de Bergi. 40 years ago, I was honored to direct a film called This is Spinal Tap.
The numbers all go to 11. One louder.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I'd like to sink her with my pink torpedo.
Pink torpedo? That's literature.
Yeah.
Really?
A lot has happened since the last time I saw you.
Crypto!
Have you been playing music at all?
I play music at a pub.
This is the site of Spinal Tap's reunion concert. Why New Orleans?
There was a cancellation.
Who was supposed to be there?
An evening with Stormy Daniels.
Oh.
Obviously, there'll be the regular merch.
Yes.
And Hope has had a rather brilliant idea.
Tap water.
It says artisan.
It's just tap water.
It's tap water.
We're still short a drummer.
What happened to him?
He sneezed himself into oblivion.
Is that medically possible?
So you think you might fill the bill?
I don't want to die.
We've only lost 11 or 12?
11.
11 drummers.
The thing that you guys had as kids, is that still there?
I'm in a band that constantly is breaking apart and coming back together. But the more we retreat into the music, the nicer things become. Not to be profound or anything, and it would be a first time for me.
Stonehenge, 'Tis a magic place where the moon doth rise with a dragon's face. Stoneman, we are Spinal Tap! We'll go back in time to that mystic land.
What we need to do is secure your legacy. If during the gig, at least one, but ideally no more than two of you were to die,
would you settle for a coma?
Oh, no, that's interesting.
You know?
That's a great bit of thinking outside, well, the literal box, I suppose, actually.
Yeah.
You know, I've had a tumultuous relationship with Spinal Tap for many years. I love the movie. I loved We Are Spinal Tap. I think it's one of the best mockumentaries. Actually created the genre, if you think about it. And then Christopher Guest and people like that carried on, and Harry Shearer and Rob Reiner also carried on with that same vein throughout their careers. And I have so much respect for the people involved in it. My problem with the Spinal Tap isn't Spinal Tap itself. It's the men who've been quoting it to me throughout my whole life. And sometimes it gets a bit tiring. So as I say, I have a weird relationship with it, but I absolutely love the original movie. I think it's one of the funniest things. And there was always going to be a problem or trepidation when you hear that something like that's getting a sequel and you think, why? Just leave it alone. I didn't think that, and I was worried that it might not be funny, but then at the same time I just thought, these guys worked on this thing such a long time ago. If they want to get together and do this again for the fans of the original movie, why not? Let them do it. And I think I was right in thinking that, because it's not, this sequel sort of finds Spinal Tap many years later, 40 years later, obviously, and the band members, mostly Nigel and David, are no longer on speaking terms. There's been some beef between them, and we don't know why there's been some beef between them, and we get to find out towards the end. But they've their original manager, or the guy who they've signed with many years ago, has died, and the contract has been inherited by his daughter, and so she decides to get the band back together, and off they go to Louisiana, to New Orleans for their reunion show, and hilarity ensues when they get together, and there's bickering and fighting, and then playing and rehearsing. There are a couple of guest stars. I don't know if they are in the trailer. I haven't watched the trailer, so I don't even know if I can say who's in it. So I probably should.
A certain Beatle is in the trailer.
Yes. Okay. Well, then he is. Yeah. Paul McCartney is in this, and also Elton John. So Elton John. Elton John playing it completely straight, which I admired so much. Same for Paul McCartney, and Paul McCartney is like more sort of like cheeky kind of performance of this. Chris Addison as the sort of shyster concert promoter, absolutely awful person, a man who can't understand music at all whatsoever. Kerry Godliman plays Hope Faith, the daughter of their old manager Ian Faith, and all of the usual gags are there. Brilliant. So there's another sort of arrival of a Stonehenge, this time sort of a little bit more to the size that expected it to be. I think the performances, really what I found the best performances in this, obviously we love Christopher Guest, and we love like the rest, Harry Shearer, and and the rest of the actors. And Rob Reiner is also brilliant in this, back as Marty DeBergi, I think his performance feels a bit too knowing, but that's okay. And these guys are all, like, as I say, 40 years older. I think the best performances here are genuinely by Chris Addison and Kerry Godliman, Kerry Godliman is so good in this. Like, genuinely, like I know she's a like stand-up comic, I believe. So I hadn't really seen her in too much, really, to be honest. And I thought she was so brilliant in this. And but she, like, genuinely, I believed that she was the person that she. Chris Addison is a real shit in this, but he's brilliant. There is something about this movie that is so sweet, so touching. There are moments of like that are so touching about their reunion, about seeing these guys together 40 years later, that it almost makes you, even though the movie is not perfect, you forgive it for not being perfect. There are some really good moments. There are some like really, really funny moments in it. There are like genuinely, I laughed all the way through it. It's not perfect, as I say, and it's like, because they are the people who invented that genre, it almost feels as though they are parodying themselves. But at the same time, I just loved seeing them together, and I loved the musical numbers, brilliant as ever. There's obviously at the end there's this big concert that ends up in a big accident, which may or may not involve a a drummer, maybe, or maybe not. But like, all in all, I did not hate it. I thought this was very sweet. I thought it was just lovely, and not what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be absolutely terrible. But no, it was good. I liked it. It's not a 5-star movie or a 4-star movie, but I liked it, and I advise anyone who is a fan of the original to go and watch it.
Fantastic. Well, that is a huge relief, because yes, I mean, I consider the original a perfect movie. I remember seeing it for the first time at college and not knowing anything about it. A friend put it on, and he was a huge muso and would always be, bothering me with documentaries and things. So I was one of those people who did spend at least the first 20-30 minutes thinking, is this real? And then it's so well done. It really is sublime, that first one. It's hilarious throughout, but it's so genuine. It's completely straight. The music is completely convincing. Everything about it is perfect. I put it above the Ruttles, which I know a lot of people wouldn't do. So when I saw the announcement for this, I was quite nervous, because I've liked a lot of Christopher Guest stuff. Waiting for Guffman is superb, but a lot of his other stuff, like the dog show, The Best in Show, and such.
A Mighty Wind.
Yeah, they haven't really done it for me.
I'm a fan of those.
But obviously they've all done great work outside of Spinal Tap, and I've even got the DVD of their playing live at the Royal Albert Hall. So that's a huge relief to hear that. And as I say, because the trailer hadn't really inspired me, I thought Addison came across quite badly in the trailer.
He's good.
And I'm not convinced McCartney can act based on the trailer and his appearance in Pirates of the Caribbean. Whereas Elton John, we know, can act very well, and Godliman, yes,
John playing it like as if like for real is so good in this. David Furnish is in it. I just thought it was quite good. I like. There's very little that I didn't like about it. Also, what it's got on its side is that it's only 1 hour and 23 minutes long. So wow. Perfect.
Yes, absolutely.
Any longer, and it wouldn't have worked.
I mean, no, I totally agree. So many films are just too long these days. That sounds ideal. Although I would recommend to anyone who's still capable of playing physical media, go and get yourself the Blu-ray of Spinal Tap. This is Spinal Tap, the original, because you get a second disc of outtakes, which is almost as long as the actual film itself, edited together, and it's just perfect, absolutely perfect. Wonderful. Well, as I say, huge relief, and I think I know where we'll be spending our money if we head to the cinema this weekend.
Meet me in the foyer.
Next, it's another musical interlude here on Meet Me in the Foyer, as I bring you my classical movie moment. And this week, we take our seats for some highbrow culture, as I'm taking you to the opera for a film that is a classic and indeed classical. It is listed as being released in 1984, but in fact it hit UK cinemas in 1985. Hence, I'm doing it this week. It struck a chord with audiences in that year, and I've composed some notes on Miloš Forman's big screen adaptation of Peter Shaffer's Amadeus, based on Shaffer's 1979 stage play, which in itself was inspired by Alexander Pushkin's 1830 play Mozart and Salieri, a period biopic of the life of, now brace yourselves, Johannes Chrysostomus Wolfgangus Theophilus Mozart, known to millions, fortunately, as Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, the 18th century composer of the classical period.
Are we going to appall you with something confidential and disgusting? Let's hope so, because that is what you really like. Unconfessed crimes of buried wickedness. If that is what brings you to us, the prospect of hearing horrors, you shall not go unrewarded.
I don't believe it. The whole city is talking.
You hear it all over.
What a story.
What a scandal.
What a comedy.
What a tragedy.
Incredible.
I don't believe it.
Who can believe it?
What horrors have you heard?
Tell us.
Tell us.
Tell us at once.
Tell us about Wolfgang.
Amadeus.
Mozart. Mozart?
How good is he, this Mozart? He's remarkable.
Is an unprincipled, spoiled, conceited brat.
I'm a vulgar man. But I assure you, my music is not.
He is divinely inspired.
He is arrogant, vulgar, obscene.
He creates music for the gods.
He is passionate.
He burns with fire.
He is an angel.
He is the devil.
He claimed he'd been poisoned.
Some said he accused a man.
Some said the man was Salieri.
Salieri?
Salieri.
I don't believe it.
All the same.
Could it be possible?
Did Salieri do it after all?
Did he murder Amadeus?
Amadeus, the man, the music, the magic, the madness, the murder, the mystery, the motion picture. Amadeus. Everything you've heard is true.
So, as I say, Amadeus is a 1984 American period biographical drama directed by Miloš Forman, starring FMurrayAbraham and Tom Hulce. Peter Shaffer adapted it from his 1979 stage play, Amadeus, originally inspired by Pushkin's play. And it's described by Shaffer as a fantasia on a real-life theme, as it imagines a rivalry between two 18th century Vienna composers, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, played by Hulce, and Antonio Salieri, played by Abraham. Salieri struggles to reconcile his professional admiration and jealous hatred for Mozart and resolves to ruin Mozart's career as his vengeance against God. It was nominated for 53 awards and received 40, including 8 Academy Awards and 4 BAFTAs. So in 1823, aged composer Antonio Salieri attempts suicide and is committed to a psychiatric hospital. He claims that he murdered Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, and Father Volger, a young Catholic priest, encourages Salieri to confess his sins before God. So it's another film that uses a narration, but as with LA Confidential, its narrator is justified because it sets up that premise of going you're in the present day, 1823 present day, and our narrator, our storyteller, is making confession to a priest, and we then go back in time and follow the story of his life and Mozart's life. He turns out to be an unreliable narrator, which is a nice little trick that some great directors use. And in that way, the film's also slightly non-linear, although once we go back in time, we do follow it through in a linear form. But as I say, we do jump back to the present day intermittently to see Salieri again. So as I said, FMurrayAbraham plays Antonio Salieri. Tom Hulce plays Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Elizabeth Berridge plays Constance Mozart. Simon Callow appears, as does Jeffrey Jones and Kenny Baker, giving it a nice little Star Wars connection as well. It's directed by Forman, of course, who had previously directed and won Oscars for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which shows his credentials. And there were quite a lot of names linked to the roles in this film. Kenneth Branagh was apparently got down to the final four to play Mozart, but then Forman decided that he was going to use an American cast to sort of engage audiences, because as he said, in other aspects of the film production, he didn't want to test audiences' patience too much. Mark Hamill was very close to being cast, but then Forman decided not to use him because he didn't want that people thinking about Star Wars when they were watching Amadeus. And of course, Tim Curry could have been cast because he was one of the leading actors to play Mozart on Broadway. And the previously mentioned Simon Callow had also played the role on stage, but didn't get it and was given a smaller role in the production. Apparently, Tom Hulce partially based his performance of Mozart on John McEnroe. He said that his mood swings were a source of inspiration for him and his portrayal. And he claimed he didn't find Mozart's signature laugh, which is sort of the key to the character, until he'd drunk a lot of whiskey. And in actual fact, I've heard a tale that he had to come back to overdub a laugh at one point. I think it's the very final laugh in the film, which actually is the conclusion of the film. And he couldn't do it. He couldn't remember the laugh. He couldn't find it again. And then he just got very drunk, and it came pouring out of him. He's brilliant. I mean, he's so charismatic. He's full of energy. He's full of madness. He gives this sort of 100-mile-an-hour performance. It really feels like you can see the genius sort of pouring out of him. And Abraham's the same. You know, he's so engaging. You sympathize with him for a while, and then the film goes in a different direction, and you find yourself feeling, or I certainly do, feeling sort of betrayed by him as he betrays Mozart. I think it's to the benefit of the film, actually, that they weren't unknown actors. I mean, I've seen Hulce previously in Parenthood, but they weren't big stars, and I think that's probably to the benefit of the film, because you can imagine them as the people. They are Mozart, they are Salieri. You're not constantly distracted by them. So as I say, Salieri is telling us this tale of he being the court composer in Vienna and hearing of this new talent, this wunderkind who's coming, who's written operas at 13 years old and can play blindfolded. And it's his tale of his jealousy, basically, but it also reveals his own arrogance and how conceited he is. And I actually think he might be one of the great movie villains of all time. You know, he's so evil, and he's so, as we find at the end, unrepentant. It's quite shocking. It sort of adds to the drama massively how vile he actually turns out to be. It's I mean, it's partly due to his sabotage of Mozart that Mozart is largely unrecognized in his lifetime, and he dies a pauper, and then is ends in a pauper's grave because of what Salieri did. I should say at this point, this is a fiction. These characters existed, but there's very little evidence that they were in any way rivals. They were in fact friends and colleagues. There has been dispute about that. In fact, there is reports that Salieri, in fact, in his lifetime, did confess to killing Mozart, but other people have said that was dementia or just misreporting. So, but let's stick with the idea, because certainly Forman did, that this is a fantasy tale, and he makes no apologies for that. And I think that's wonderful that he's taken this true life story and thought, right, that's great, but I'm making a movie and I want people to want to see this movie, so I'm going to make it as dramatic as possible and as intriguing as possible. And he so does. It's such a stunning film, because really the film is a tribute to the music. So all the way through you have Mozart's music. All of it is genuine. It's all recorded specially for the film, but unchanged. That was one of the conditions of the conductor that they hired, that all the music would appear unchanged. Neville Marriner insisted on that, so it's all as Mozart wrote it. It's one of the most beautiful films you'll ever see. It's shot in Prague, and there are very few sets. It's all in genuine locations. Some of the actual theatres that Mozart's operas were performed in. It's stunning. The costumes are incredible. The acting's, of course, brilliant. The plot is wonderful, but those real locations add so much authenticity to it. It's absolutely marvelous. So with the characters, as I say, Salieri comes across initially as charming. He says he's a sort of celibate. He worships music. He's given his life to music, and you believe him until evidence starts to show otherwise. Whereas Mozart is this sort of uncouth, vulgar little man with huge talent. What I really like are the moments throughout the film where he just speaks honestly, and he doesn't realize that he's insulting Salieri so often. When he says, "Oh, I wish I could write what you do. It's so simple," or something like that, or the moment where they first meet and he plays Salieri's little entrance march that he wrote for him, and he just blows it away and turns it into something genius right in front of his eyes. And I love those moments. And as I say, what the genius of the film is using Salieri's narration, but also the way he draws you in. His passion, the way Abraham plays it, his passion for the music, his passion for Mozart's talent, despite his envy, the way he displays it draws you right in. And it's so well edited, this film is constructed, because you see moments where they are writing bits of music, and then you hear it, and then it'll slam cut into an operatic performance, and boom, you're seeing one of the operatic singers giving an incredible performance, sort of impossible physical feats of them singing these incredible numbers. As I say, it just grabs you immediately. It starts with this hugely dramatic moment. It actually starts, the first word in the script is Salieri shouting Mozart, and then men are running through the snowy streets of Vienna, and you see that Salieri has tried to commit suicide, and then you're off to the mental hospital asylum, where he's taken to recover and prevent himself doing it again. Amusingly, of course, the film gets Mozart's name wrong, because he wasn't actually called Amadeus. That was just a sort of nickname that was given, and that wasn't his proper name. But like I say, it sort of pulls you one way and the other, because you, as I say, you feel sorry for Salieri at first. You like him because he says he's an honest man and his passion is for music, but he reveals himself all through the film and his true nature, and you realize that there are all these moments where he could stop doing what he's doing. He could stop torturing Mozart. He could stop sabotaging him. And every time he has that opportunity and you think he might do it, he doesn't. He doubles down and he goes further and he goes further, and he just allows himself to be driven by his sort of just horrible jealousy and arrogance. And then of course the film ends with utter heartbreak, really. You know, it's an incredibly sad ending to the film, but again, the music is just so gorgeous, and the whole film is so gorgeous that you just, despite that sad ending, you feel uplifted by it, and everyone is brilliant in it. It was rightly, as I say, it has a score of 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, quite rightly, and Roger Ebert gave it 4 out of 4 stars, said it's one of the riskiest gambles a filmmaker has taken in a long time, but there's nothing cheap or unworthy about the approach. And he overlooked the historical inaccuracies that he felt would annoy people. As I say, it was nominated for 11 Academy Awards. It won 8, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor for MurrayAbraham, who won, and Hulce was also nominated. Best Screenplay, Best Art Direction, Best Costumes, Best Makeup, and Best Sound. And then it won 4 BAFTAs as well. Absolutely brilliant film. You know, I think it came into my life because, as I've said before, my parents aren't big film fans, and we didn't have a lot of films in the house. But both my parents, especially my mother, are huge classical and opera fans. So when this film came along, she absolutely adored it, and we had a copy in the house. So I watched it endlessly, and even as a child, I was utterly enthralled by it. You know, the drama of it and the music was just totally hypnotizing. It's come out in a director's cut as well, with an additional 20 minutes, which some people say sort of spoils the rhythm of it, but I think, you know, more of something so great is just a treat for me. And it's had such an impact as well. It's led to, I think it's crucial in the wave of musical biopics we've had over the last 20 years. You know, of course, we've had Walk the Line, Rocket Man, Bob Marley. These are all sort of popular music ones, but Elvis, of course, Bohemian Rhapsody, La Vie en Rose, and of course the Gary Oldman starring Immortal Beloved, which clearly to me was a production company going, oh, Mozart, Beethoven. It's Immortal Beloved's not up to Amadeus's standard, but it's still an enjoyable film. I mean, it's got Gary Oldman in it, and it's got Beethoven's music. So once again, and of course, it clearly inspired them making the Beethoven movies. Although for some reason in that, Beethoven's played by a dog, and he doesn't write much music. So I'm not sure what was going on there. It didn't obviously start the musical biopic. Ken Russell got in before. He did quite a few, actually. He did Elgar, Delius, The Music Lovers, The Life of Tchaikovsky, Mailer, and Listomania. So he was quite the musical biopic fan. As you can see, I've gushed about this film. I think this is just amazing. And if you haven't seen it, you've wasted your life, but get it, find it, watch this film, treat yourself to one of the most beautifully shot and brilliantly told stories with some of the greatest music ever written. This is terrible. I have to apologize for this. Go on, join the Wolfgang and Amadeus of high quality Mozart. Thank you and good night.
I'm here all week. Try the veal.
Yes, I had to end with a terrible pun.
Just love that movie. Love that movie. I have nothing more to say. You've said it all. I just think it's just like a near perfect movie, and yeah, those performances are excellent. I just do you know what I loved about it is like the ability to make movies about two extremely unlikable characters that are also very like, you know, riveting to watch, you know, and the the sort of the ability to do that and to like keep you watching, even though you have nothing but absolute sort of, you despise these people. I just thought it was so good. Yeah, no, I love that.
And I don't think there were any likable characters in it. In fact, rewatching it last night, his wife, I don't think is particularly nice. Her mother's horrible. His friends, possibly, but they're using him. They're all horrible characters, but as you say, just utterly brilliant. And it's so good. I don't think you have to have any interest in classical music to watch this film. It's stunning, and that's the mark of a great film. That's on a topic you think that doesn't appeal to me, and then you watch it and go, wow, yeah, brilliant film.
Meet me in the foyer.
Anyway, enough from me. I think Linda wanted to bring us a little bit on another film.
Yeah, there's a little movie called Islands.
That was good.
Tom, right?
It's me.
I'd like to book some tennis lessons for my son. We really need this holiday to be perfect.
Yeah. I think you guys just need to get out and explore the island.
You could take us. It is such a nice day.
The volcano's going to erupt.
You never know.
I'm sure you said all of this was temporary.
I don't remember ever saying that.
You did.
The police were here, talking to security.
Even in a place like this, people want to pretend they're somewhere else. Just a bit strange.
What are you running away from?
I'm not running away from anything.
Wait!
Like it here.
That is coming out at the end of this week, starring Sam Riley as an ex tennis pro who finds himself in Fuerteventura, this kind of holiday island where he is basically a washed out tennis player, still a fantastic tennis player who once upon a time in his past has supposedly beaten Rafael Nadal, and who has dined on that story for the rest of his life. I'm a huge fan of Sam Riley. I think he's absolutely brilliant, and I feel like he's not done much in the last sort of 5 or 6 years, but he is genuinely one of the best British actors going. This is very reminiscent of like Antonioni's like L'Avventura. It's about this kind of like there's a mystery. It's almost like a noir in the sunshine, and there's a mystery about a disappearance of a person. There's an ambiguity about where the story will take you, and these very complex characters intertwined in it. I think it's best to go in without knowing anything, and this is a movie that's being released by the BFI as well, so it's a BFI movie, presented the money from the BFI, and it's, if you want to catch it, please do catch it, because I don't know if it's been shown for that long, and when you get movies like this that are so brilliantly done and so refuse to sort of spoon feed you the storyline, it's just so brilliantly done and so well acted, and so I really loved it, and I just wanted to live in that world with it as it went. And I feel like the movies like this are not made anymore because everyone's so scared. Everyone wants sort of action, not even action, even like those sort of murder mysteries or films about a mystery feel the need to like have so much artifice in them that it puts you off, because it's like you don't need all that contrivance. And I think this is so well done, and yeah, brilliant. Go and see it, and if you can find it shown anywhere near you, take a punt and see what you think.
Fantastic. Yes, I remember it now. I heard it discussed on another film podcast, and thought that does sound really interesting.
The film podcast, no such thing.
I know. I don't know. Maybe
this is the only film podcast.
it's the voices in my head, maybe. But yeah, no, it does sound fantastically intriguing. So I will definitely going to see it. I can't think of another sort of thrilling tennis-related movie since Hitchcock's Strangers on a Train. But there probably has been one, but I can't think of it. Brilliant. No, I'll definitely be looking out for that one.
No, it's a good movie. Yeah, it's 2 hours long. It's a bit too long, but
didn't take the lesson from Spinal Tap then. Naughty.
Meet me in the foyer.
Right, so it's time for the news, and this week lots of trailers and some quite interesting news. We have a trailer for the new Mads Mikkelsen movie Dust Bunny, due for release in the US on the 5th of December. No UK release date set yet, but we'll bring that to you as soon as we can.
What did you see?
A monster. Under my bed.
What do your parents think about monsters? Do they believe in them?
I do now. Is that enough to kill a monster?
What makes you think I kill monsters?
You seem like you killed all it thinks.
You believe in monsters?
You're a monster. She believe in you.
A monster didn't need your parents. Those were men. That came to kill me. Why would a monster eat your family? Have you seen something you shouldn't have seen?
I know it's real.
You think you know?
You think you know.
Her being here won't stop them. They will go right through her. You seem triggered.
You got the girl?
I got the girl.
We also have the trailer for Wuthering Heights, starring Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi, from Saltburn and promising young woman director Emerald Fennell.
Fall in.
I can follow you like a dog to the end of the world.
Fall in love.
Are you feeling quite right? What? Oh, yes, fine.
Do you want me to stop?
That's due for release just before Valentine's on the 13th of February next year, with its controversial casting. In the news, Neil Marshall has struck a deal with UAE company Versatile Synergy to make 2 new high-concept genre action movies. One, a survival thriller, Skeleton Coast, described as an action-packed survival thriller with dark humour in the tradition of Jaws, Lake Placid, The Grey and the Beast. The second, Blackout, a contained espionage Knives Out style whodunit crossed with the Raid style action. Both sound quite interesting. We've got a trailer for Black Phone 2 due for release on the 17th of October.
Jesus, I'm not doing so well. I need help. Some real help. I'm scared he's gonna kill me. Don't let him win.
And yes, we mentioned it earlier in the top 10. Horror fans continue to baffle and slightly disappoint me in equal measure as they have poured $187 million into The Conjuring Last Rites. That's its global box office takings in its opening weekend. That's 83 million in the US and 104 internationally, of which, as I said earlier, 6.7 million pounds was in the UK alone. Just, I mean, they're not going to stop making those films, let's be honest. We've got another trailer for Wake Up Dead Man, the Knives Out sequel, which opens the London Film Festival on the 8th of October and hits cinemas on the 26th of November and Netflix on the 12th of December.
This murder was dressed as a miracle. But what happened that night is a much, much larger scheme. To understand this case, you need to look at the myth that's being constructed. A man gives a sermon. He then, in plain sight of everyone, walks into a sealed concrete box. And 30 seconds later, that man is lying dead. A classic, impossible crime. Okay, you're freaking me out now.
This is a holy mystery. Unsolvable.
Holy shit. Sorry.
What the hell happened?
We do not know. What is truth? We don't know that. We don't. What exists? Does any of this exist? So,
what is even happening right now?
It is time to discover what this flock of wicked wolves is hiding.
Confess.
All right, stop. Here's what's gonna happen. Benoit frickin' Blanc and I are gonna ask you all some questions, and you're gonna answer them. We're gonna get to the bottom of who killed Monsignor Wicks and why, and then that's it.
Now, who wants to go first?
Michael Caine, who, like many legends, quietly retired in the manner of Hackman and Nicholson by stepping away rather than making a big announcement, has decided to come out of retirement for The Last Witch Hunter 2, sequel to Vin Diesel starring 2015 fantasy. And the chief question is, why? Of all the over 130 films he's made, why would he choose to return to work with Vin Diesel in a sequel to a highly mediocre film? I'm absolutely stumped by this.
Tax bill, possibly, you know.
Yes. Retirement home bill. Who knows? I mean, it'll be great to see him back on the screen. You know, he's one of the greats, a very small, you know, he's in the elite. He's so good. You know, he's one of those actors that I get annoyed on behalf of because he and Nicholson always get accused by people who don't know what they're talking about of playing the same character. And they so don't, you know, the nuance in their performances. We last saw him in The Great Escaper, which was fantastic. And apparently we'll see him once again in The Last Witch Hunter 2. So happy days. We've also got a trailer for Die My Love, starring Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson, from Lynn Ramsey, director of You Were Never Really Here, which is her first film in 8 years. That's set for release on the 14th of November. And final bit of news, Giancarlo Esposito was interviewed at a recent event, and I'm going to quote him here. He said, "This summer has been the worst summer for movies since 1981. No one is going to the movies. Why? Well, we stacked it upon ourselves. The reboot is done because it's been used too many times. That's been a strategy to get us all back, but there has to be a new strategy, a new thinking, and some compassion and understanding that money isn't everything. You've got to give to get. It's a circle, and that's coming back to working in LA. We work within the community first, and then it works out. It spins out to the world. We have the ability, we have the artisans, we have the filmmakers, we have the directors, and we have the money. So why not give and take a little bit and bring some enthusiasm back into the theatres so we can all see movies together again?" And I mean,
That's a bit of a defeatist attitude, to be honest with you. I don't really need to hear that kind of negative nonsense. You know, I think there have been some really good movies, and I don't agree that it's the worst year for movies. I don't think that's true. I like, you know, the data, the math isn't mathing, and I'm sure we've had worse years. And I don't think, I mean, like, it simply isn't true, really.
Okay. I assumed he had done some research, but I will take your word for it over his. But I do think he's got a point about too many reboots, but that's different.
No,
That's a different thing.
yeah, he does.
And finally, I missed it last week, as I said, but having enjoyed the original so much back in 2022, I'm delighted that Sisu returns on the 21st of November in action-packed and blood-soaked sequel, Sisu Road to Revenge. And here's its trailer.
There you go, Dragonov. You killed hundreds of civilians, including the family of a Finnish commando who took revenge and became a legend. The legend entered Soviet Union 10 hours ago. I'm sending you to clean up your mess.
I think the legend has been homesick. Go on.
They're saying I lit the fire in you. I will put it out. You are a mistake, an aberration.
I will show you that there are worse things than death. You stubborn motherfucker. Unleash hell.
You are going to be buried in the frozen ground, like the rest of your family.
And that's it for this week's episode of Meet Me in the Foyer. Are we talking the end of Meet Me in the Foyer, or are we going to try and milk it? Well, I don't really think that the end can be assessed as being itself the end. What does the end feel like? It's like saying when you try to extrapolate the end of the universe. If the universe is indeed infinite, then what does that mean? How far is all the way? And then if it stops, what's stopping it? And what's behind what's stopping it? What's the end is my question to you. Well, regardless, this is the end of this episode, but we shall continue with future reunions starting next week. So meet me in the foyer then, where Linda will bring us reviews of the latest movies, waging war for your wallet, and I shall offer you my thoughts on a classic that you may wish to seek out. Plus, we'll bring you the box office top 10 and the most interesting morsels of movie news. So until then, thank you, Linda. And
Adios.
Good night, Cleveland.
Bye.
Brilliant.
Go watch some movies. Then listen to Paolo Esposito.
Meet me in the foyer.